What's up, everybody? It's Gary B, and this is the Sports Card Strategy Show, because you know this, there is no off-season.
No off-season! When you get into this game, the reason why you pay someone like Paul Hickey to get your sports card strategy together is because when you're starting out, you need perspective, you need wisdom, you need insights. And so he's been around the track enough times where he can actually coach you up and guide you. Doesn't mean he's going to take you to the promised land tomorrow, but you now have a coach by your side that can advise and kind of even create these pathways where you can get the education yourself. And that's a lot better than thugging it out on your own.
What? The kids better buy my rookie card now, because after this year, the price ain't coming down.
Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Paul Hickey. It's time to sit back, listen, learn, and earn with me on the Sports Card Strategy Show. What's up, NoOffSeason.com fam? I am Paul Hickey, and welcome into the only sports card podcast that actually dials in on helping you make money flipping sports cards. We don't just talk about our opinions about what's happening in the hobby or what we think is going to happen or our hot takes. We dial in to help each and every one of you make money flipping sports cards. So welcome. We are so happy to have you with us on today's show. We are going to talk about the top football card buys and fades for the 2026 offseason, which we are in right now. We're going to talk a little bit about whether or not base cards are back and the strength of the sports card market in 2026. How long will this boom last that we're already seeing in late 2025, early 2026? We're going to talk with Dustin, the sports card dad, about that. And then we're going to bring in our friend George Crespo, who is a premium member of NoOffSeason.com. He's co-hosted this show with Lefty and I before, and he runs a company called Slab Dynasty.com. Super cool company, new sponsor of the Sports Card Strategy Show. We've got a great interview with George Crespo from SlabDynasty.com talking about why it's a great potential way to make money flipping sports cards. So we'll talk about that. Ooh, I am super excited about the return of the graded sports card rankings at NoOffSeason.com. Can't wait to walk you guys through the return of the only sports card rankings that exist on the planet and already graded sports card rankings. A lot of reasons why we've brought them back, and I want to walk you through the rationale for how we've put them together and how you can find them at NoOffSeason.com. Also, Centering School. We'll talk about how to center 2024 select football, and I'll walk you guys through my latest PSA win and a ridiculous PSA loss that I want to talk about. There's also a new eBay scam. You guys have probably seen it on social media. One of my old friends from back in the day, Ty Wilson from Breaker Culture, posted a great video on X about this scam and what eBay needs to do about it. So I want to play that, give Ty a little credit, and then talk about the newest golf star. He doesn't have any cards, but he's somebody I want you to be aware of because could be a Sports Illustrated for Kids card that maybe hits our magazine soon for this young golf star that you may or may not be familiar with. All right, in the interest of keeping our strategies and plays exclusive to a small group of premium members, we're capping our total premium membership at NoOffSeason.com to 500 paid members at any given time. There are a couple spots available. So as soon as you hear this, you need to go directly to NoOffSeason.com. Make sure you get in because we are pretty much at the limit of 500 members. Couple of spots remaining before we open up our waiting list. So many of you who have listened to the Sports Card Strategy Show for a long time and have thought about subscribing but have been waiting, your wait is over. Don't let someone else grab your spot. NoOffSeason.com helps you make real profits flipping sports cards with insider data, proven strategies, and exclusive access to undervalued cards before the rest of the market catches on. All right. Reminder that Sports Card Strategy Show is now powered and sponsored by Slab Dynasty Cards, a next-gen sports card platform built for collectors that includes a 2% marketplace fee and or a choose your chase feature as well. Start your dynasty today using the code NOOFFSEASON for 20% off your first Slab Dynasty purchase. Also, that 2% marketplace fee, as you'll hear later on from George as we bring him on, is going to be reduced to 0% marketplace fee for premium members of nooffseason.com only. All right. Huge PSA win and ridiculous loss. Let's start with my ridiculous loss, because I honestly think this is the dumbest shit ever by PSA. So I bought this Steph Curry. It's a 2009 reprint card of his rookie, but it is a Beckett authenticated auto on a sticker that has been placed on the card. And on the Beckett slab reads authentic auto. You know, Beckett has authenticated the auto and reprint card. And I paid a total of $419.91 for this on October 6th. Okay. And so my play was to submit it to PSA, because you can have a card. You can have the card just as a reprint card on a PSA label, but a PSA DNA certified auto. So really all I wanted was this exact thing in a PSA slab. And my thought was that it's going to sell for more in a PSA slab than it is in a Beckett slab, even though it would say reprint card on it. Had this done before, but it would be an authentic auto. I didn't even want the auto graded. I just wanted an auto authenticated. I wanted the minimum grade of the auto to be authenticated. All right. So PSA refused to even authenticate the auto. They basically charged me the fee for the service, which was about $60, and they sent me my Beckett slab back, and the grade was auto inconclusive. It's called an N9 designation, inconclusive, unable to render opinion. So here's why I'm irate about this. All right. PSA, you just purchased Beckett. Okay. Your parent company owns Beckett. So now basically what you're saying is the company that we owned, or the company that we just bought, is unable to be trusted on their authentication of an autograph. Yet we've purchased them and are vouching for them as a company by purchasing them. But that they're either lying or inept. So why would you purchase an inept company unable to authenticate an autograph? I mean, literally, someone from Beckett witnessed Steph Curry sign this sticker, and it was then placed on a reprint card and slabbed by Beckett. So now PSA is saying, no, it's not necessarily signed by Steph Curry. I mean, that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Like, that should not be allowed. Now PSA, you now own 3 grading companies, collectors. You own PSA, you own Beckett, and you own SGC. Once you've purchased those companies, you can't then go back on anything that they've done in the past and say that it wasn't valid. That's just bad for business from a customer service standpoint. And I mean, I don't think that stuff like this should be allowed. I don't think PSA now should be able to be like, well, we're not sure if someone from Beckett actually did their job in the past, even though they now work for us. Just ridiculous. All right, let's move on to my win. So my win, and the reason I want to bring this up is because there has been chatter in our Discord. We have an amazing premium member Discord at nooffseason.com. So once you're a premium member at nooffseason.com, one of the many, many, many benefits is that you can use your member points to do many different things, but you can use your member points to join our premium members only Discord and continuously converse and interact with other premium members of nooffseason.com. So one point was made recently by somebody on the Discord that I thought was a good point. It was like, hey, has anyone actually got a PSA 10 from grading at PSA via eBay checkout? Like, there's the eBay checkout option to grade at PSA. And I hadn't received, I've only done it a few times, and I had not received a PSA 10. I'd only received 9s. And so I did buy this. I almost forgot that I bought this card. This 2024 Panini absolute kaboom horizontal, Jaden Daniels raw, authenticity guarantee, obviously. And I did the PSA grading at checkout. So $898 I won the auction for on December 21st. So holiday dip. And then with the PSA grading regular at checkout, $74.99. So all in, I'm at $974.31, including the grading fee. Well, because my PSA account is under a different email address than my eBay account, I don't really pay attention. Basically what happens is that, like, if you do a PSA grading option at eBay checkout and you have a different email address for your PSA account than your eBay account, they just create a separate PSA account for you that matches your eBay email address. And so I have two separate PSA accounts is basically where I'm going with this. So I kind of forgot that I even had this at grading. Well, I got the FedEx package last week and got a PSA 10. Opened up the box, wasn't sure whose card it was. And turns out it was my Jaden Daniels kaboom horizontal, and it got a PSA 10. So like no grade reveal, no anything like that, just right into a Jaden Daniels PSA 10 kaboom. Huge win because all in, again, I'm at about $978. The last sale, according to eBay, was January 14th. And this is our card analyzer and predictor tool also gives this information at nooffseason.com. Sold January 14th for $2,400. Buy it now. It sold for $2,500. Buy it now on December 17th. So this is a card that should continue to rise in value as the 2026 NFL season nears. And man, what a beauty this is. So this is mine right here. And just a beauty PSA 10 2024 Jaden Daniels kaboom horizontal pop 369. And really excited about that win. So I wanted to share that with you guys because it is possible to get a PSA 10 using the eBay at checkout option for grading. And I want that to be something that you all keep in mind because, you know, you're not seeing the card, right? You're never seeing that card before you grade it. So it is a little bit harder to get that Gem Mint 10, but that's what we teach you at nooffseason.com. Essentially, a lot of what we're teaching you at nooffseason.com is how to identify gradable cards online, like without seeing them. So understanding what's gradable and what's not gradable before you even buy it. Okay. So pumped about that and would like to say hello to RP Mick 1 in the live chat joining us. Says hold that dog till August. I think I'm going to. And appreciate all of your support. We've got Terry Anderson in the live chat as well. Terry, we got to get you back as a premium member at nooffseason.com. You know the value. Can't remember your rationale for why you left, but would love to have you back, man. I mean, it's an exclusive club. We're capping it at 500. We hit the 500 mark a couple of weeks ago. We've had a few spots open up. We hit it again. We had a few more spots open up. So we're a few spots under 500. We got to get Terry Anderson, RP Mick 1. Go to nooffseason.com. Join right now. You will love it. I promise you. All right. One of the reasons why you'll love it more than you would have loved it last week. And last week it was phenomenal. But we've added already graded rankings back into the sports card rankings. So I'm excited to show you guys this. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, don't worry. You can go to youtube.com/Paul Hickey and you can see this video, and it's going to make you want to subscribe as a premium member at nooffseason.com. Because now when you click rankings, first of all, we're the only place on the planet with sports card rankings. We rank sports cards based on data telling us what is going to go up in value in the future. So not only do we have our raw to grade rankings, which rank by projected return on investment based on the target cost, which is the last 30-day average of a raw card, the PSA 9, the PSA 10 last 30-day values, mixed in with the gem rate, gives you the projected average sale price. Then whatever amount of money you spend in on that card is going to give you your projected return on investment. So, if you want to make $5,000 on Drake May cards, then you would need to buy 500 of his 2024 Optic Base 229. And if you do that based on the amount of gems that you're expected to get based on our formula, you would make 125% ROI on that. So that's the way our raw to grade sports card rankings work in a nutshell. And they do a phenomenal job. And they're based on, buying it at the target cost and then grading as many of those as possible. Buying as many as you can at the target cost, grading as many as you can afford to grade, and you will get that projected return on investment. So our raw to grade sports card formula rankings have been working really, really well for people. We also have had already our PSA 9 to BGS 9.5 sports card rankings. So both of those are obviously still in place. Now, what we've added is already graded baseball card rankings, already graded football card rankings, and already graded basketball card rankings. And we may be adding more. We may be adding other sports. But the rationale for how we've done this is we've taken the top athletes and we have taken their cards that have sold the most. So high liquidity between $200 and $2,000. And we've taken the cards that are down the most in that category, already graded, looking at PSA 9s, PSA 10s, BGS 9.5s, and SGC 10s, essentially, is what that's how we've done it. So a select amount of athletes from each sport that are the top athletes in each sport, cards that have sold more than 5 times in the last 90 days, between $200 and $2,000 from a price point, that are down the most. That puts you in a position where you are basically, if you can buy at the last sale, which is your target cost, it gives you the most upside without really needing anything to happen from a performance spike standpoint. That's the key. So if there is a performance spike, you're going to make more money than the price change potential upside. But even if there isn't a performance spike, you should be able to sell it at some point in the future within the next 365 days for the price change potential upside number as your gross profit number. It's your gross profit number because you're still going to have to take out any of the eBay marketplace fees or anything like that, shipping fees. But you've got guys like, for the baseball rankings, you've got Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Shohei Ohtani, Ken Griffey Jr., Juan Soto, Aaron Judge. So a good example would be to say, look at Shohei Ohtani 2018 Bowman Chrome #1 base batting SGC 10. That's down $113 in the last 90 days. That's huge. If you can get it for the last sale of $1,800, you should be able to sell it immediately when the baseball season starts for at least $1,913. The 90-day average is $1,841. So you'd be getting it for less than the 90-day average. So you can go through this list and you can see what the top potential upside cards are to buy. So it's not looking at what's up in the last 30 days like most tools look at. It's looking at the top cards that are actually down in the last 90 days, giving you the most upside for the top players. So then when we go to football card rankings, for example, you see a lot more. You see 80 football cards that are down $90 or more in the last 90 days. Going back to the baseball card rankings, you're looking at about 50 cards with upside. Football, you're looking at about, at least 80, but 80, we've shown you the top 80. So Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, Patrick Mahomes, Michael Penix, Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, Justin Jefferson, even a Drake May card on here. So there's a lot of great cards in our sports card already graded rankings now that you don't have to take a risk on. I think that's the reason why we wanted to add these back in under a new methodology. Our old methodology was okay. It was putting you in a position where you were mitigating risk, but you didn't have that much upside, or you had to hold the card for a long time. These are cards now that are the top cards over the last 90 days, giving you the most opportunity to sell for the most upside at some point without a performance spike. So there's risk mitigation built in for at least in the football card case, $90 of potential upside, all the way up to almost $1,800 of potential upside, the top ranked card. And then if you do get a performance spike and or a hype rise, man, you're in great shape. So, we are pulling this data and updating it weekly. So we, in the back end of our system, it's updated in real time, but we are carefully scrutinizing it, analyzing it, and then updating. What we're going to do is likely every Friday. That's the plan. Every Friday at nooffseason.com, these will be refreshed. So you're going to have a plethora of options to choose from now. Whereas before at nooffseason.com, yeah, you had the raw to grade, which was phenomenal. You had the PSA 9 to BGS 9.5, but now you're going to have, I would say, just doing the math here, close to 300 more cards to choose from, and all of these cards will be already graded. So you don't have to grade them. We're giving you the top sports cards to buy to make money on within the next 365 days that you don't even have to do anything other than get them at the target cost. So from a basketball standpoint, we've got Michael Jordan on here, Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, Wemby. We've got SGA, LeBron. So, a great group of the top athletes with at least 80 basketball cards that you can make money on right now. Now, the other thing that's cool about our rankings from a raw to grade perspective is if you have a card that you don't see in our raw to grade rankings, but you want to know if you should spend money on it or not, you can use our raw to grade calculator. A lot of people have cards sitting around and they might be thinking, man, like what does nooffseason.com say based on their formula, which is all the things you'd want to look at? What's the upside in a PSA 10 versus, cross-referencing that with the gem rate of the card, right? And all the fees. We take care of all of your fees when we do our calculations. We have a raw to grade sports card rankings calculator. So if you don't find your card in the raw to grade rankings, you can enter it in all the information yourself in our raw to grade sports card rankings calculator at nooffseason.com, and it'll tell you whether or not to grade the card. Or if it's a card you're looking at buying, it'll tell you whether or not to buy and grade the card or to fade it, which other cards are better options for you. So an abundance of sports card rankings now at nooffseason.com. Super excited to bring back the already graded card rankings. Really, really pumped to bring that to you. Again, the negative number in the rankings is a good thing because it's telling you that card, you can get that card for cheaper than it's going to sell for based on the data. All right. So the potential upside in that column is basically telling you that, look, it's down, but because it's down, there is upside here. And then the next column is telling you the last sale, which is your target cost. And then just even more data there, average sale price in the last 90 days, giving you even more confidence that card's going to go back up. All right. So hope to see all of you at nooffseason.com taking full advantage of our new and improved already graded sports card rankings. All right, now I want to talk about my top football card buys and fades for this offseason that we're in right now, 2026. And to do that, I am going to play this clip from the premium podcast. So premium members of nooffseason.com got this information last Thursday. Another reason why all of you Sports Card Strategy Show listeners should become premium members at nooffseason.com. But you got to do it now because spots are running out and they're limited to 500 total. So here, without further ado, is what I told premium members at nooffseason.com, my top football card buys and fades were for right now, the 2020 top football card buys and fades for 2026. And I'm just going to start by saying I would fade every single 2025 quarterback, every single 2025 rookie player. So that would be your Tyler Shucks of the world, your Cam Wards of the world, your Shedeur Sanderses of the world, your Matthew Goldens of the world, your Ashton Genties of the world, anyone with a 2025 Prism Silver, Prism Base, Optic Hollow. You're going to fade all of those because the prices will continue to go down. That's what the charts and the pattern analysis always show us. The first year to 18 months of a player's rookie season, their cards go down in value because everybody wants those rookies. Everybody wants to prospect on those rookies. So the demand is higher than the supply. Also because the releases come out one at a time. So every time there's a new release out, there is more supply. And the demand can't keep up with the supply. So as more releases come out, there is more supply and the prices go down, even with the Prism. So like, for example, Tyler Shuck. Okay, the all data chart on Tyler Shuck, which is really just over the last 60 days. For example, his Prism Silver Raw has gone down by 40% since the first sale. I mean, that trend is going to continue. And I use Tyler Shuck as an example because he ended up, everybody thinks he's a sleeper right now, right? Everybody thinks, oh, well, I'm going to fade Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders because everybody knows about them, and Jackson Dart. But Tyler Shuck is a sleeper, so I'm going to buy him. Don't. His cards are going to go down for the next 18 months. Okay, now let's look at some of my top buys and fades. Okay, so Bryce Young, 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10 is one of my top buys. It is a pop 1,601. The reason why has nothing to do with Bryce Young as a player. It is not me telling you that Bryce Young is going to be good in 2026. No. Okay. But what I am telling you is that when you look at the 365-day chart of his 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10, pop 1601, you see a card in August 2025 that sold multiple times for over $200 and as high as $243. This was, mind you, heading into a season when no one knew if this guy was going to be any good. Nobody knew that he was going to play the full year, put up career highs, and make the playoffs. Nobody knew that. Nobody knew he was going to win the division. So it was just the hype of the season starting and what he could be. Now, that card is back down to $132. Guys, I bought one for $132. And I'm not the only one that bought one. There were 4 sales this week. I was one of them. I bought one of them. But 4 sales at $132. Okay. This card, now that he has more of a resume, more on his resume, could easily be pushing $300 heading into August. Now, do I think it's going to be $300? Probably not. But do I think it's going to be $250? Absolutely. Do I think this could sell at the National for $250? Do I think it could auction off on eBay for $250 in August? Absolutely. So that's a great buy. Now, his counterpart, the number 2 overall pick in 2023, CJ Stroud, is a fade. Okay. Did CJ Stroud's team have a better season than Bryce Young's team? Yeah, you could make the argument. They were 12-5. Bryce Young's team was 9-8. They both made the playoffs. They both lost in the first round in the wild card round. Actually, I take that back. CJ Stroud's team beat the Steelers in the wild card round. CJ Stroud won a playoff game this year, but he is a fade. Here's why. It has nothing to do with performance on the field. It has to do with the data pattern recognition. Okay. The last comp of CJ Stroud's 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10 is $310. But when you look at the 365-day chart, his card only sold in August for just over $400. There is not as much of a profit margin there. Now, if he has a performance spike, sure, that could be a buy. And now there were some sales in August for this CJ Stroud 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10 over $400. So you can make money on this, but not as much of a profit as you would on Bryce Young. Now, it did sell for over $400 in October. It's a pop to $22.30. Now, it's not a bad buy. It's not a bad buy, but I'm picking the Bryce Young card over CJ Stroud. Although it did sell for $249. I'm kind of taking it back here, actually, everybody. I'm kind of taking back. I am mid-sentence taking back what I just said about CJ Stroud. I don't know that this is a fade. I don't think it's good of a buy as Bryce Young. However, if you can get it for the last two sales have averaged out to $249, that actually at $249 is a great buy because it did sell for over $400 consistently in August. So is that a fade? No, it's actually not. It's actually not a fade. So Bryce Young and CJ Stroud 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10s, both great buys. If you can get it. Now, mind you, it's got to be, for Bryce Young, it's got to be at the 132. For CJ Stroud, it's got to be at the 249 target cost. Okay, now we get into the 2024 rookie class. And I'm going to compare not only the number 1 and number 2 overall picks, but then I'm going to get into a comparison of the guy, Drake May. Okay. And that comparison may shock you, but it's how we do things here at nooffseason.com. It's how we win. It's how we help you win. All right. So both Bryce Young and CJ Stroud 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10s are buys at those target costs. But now let's compare Caleb Williams. All right. 2024 Prism Silver PSA 10 pop just under 800 to Jaden Daniels. 2024 Prism Silver PSA 10 pop 658. Now, which one is the better buy? Now, a lot of you are high on Caleb Williams right now. Why? Well, he had a great season in his second season with the Chicago Bears, like the comeback kid and all that stuff. Jaden Daniels, not so much. Kind of fell flat on his face, got injured, didn't play very well. So again, who are you going with? You going with the momentum, or are you going with the right card for the right player at the right time? Let me explain. Here's why Caleb Williams 2024 Prism Silver 301 PSA 10 is a fade. Okay, it is a fade. The last sale is at $750. Okay, it sold throughout January for as high, like for basically over $800, for as high as $860. All right. However, heading into this NFL season, it sold for $625. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us that due to the context here, there was not as much hype heading into Caleb Williams' season, and his cards needed that big performance spike to get up $200 from $625 up to consistently over $825. So now if you can buy his card, now during the holiday dip, it dipped as low as $411. So you're welcome. $382. So you're welcome for the holiday dip, by the way, because if you would have bought during the holiday dip, like I told everybody, the best time to buy sports cards during the holiday dip, $382, you'd be double. You'd be at $850, $750 right now. So you'd be looking pretty good. But this card, make no mistake about it, is performance spike dependent. And now there are expectations for Caleb Williams heading into year 3. So big expectations for Caleb Williams. So what you're doing is you're buying in to the performance spike. You're buying into the spike, which is bad. You don't want to buy into the spike. What you want to do is you want to take that money and put it into Jaden Daniels 2024 Prism Silver PSA 10 Pop 658, which you can get for under $700 right now, a card that sold for $1,324 in September, a card that sold for $1,200 or more consistently throughout August. So now you're buying low, okay? You're buying Jaden Daniels low. And some comps of this card are as low as $570 this month. So you're under $700. If you can get under $600, it's a huge win. But Jaden Daniels 2024 Prism Silver PSA 10 over Caleb Williams 2024 Prism Silver PSA 10. Now here's an even bigger one. All right. Drake May 2024 Prism Silver PSA 10 Pop 721. These are all about the same pop count, by the way, for these 2024 rookie quarterbacks. You're going to fade this. You're going to fade this huge because heading into the season, this was a $360 card. It is now an $1,813 card, which basically means that it's out of this world based on not only the season Drake May had, but the fact that as I'm recording this, he is heading into the AFC Championship game. I know this is playing on the Sports Card Strategy Show as well, so we don't know if he won or not, but the fact that he made it to the final four quarterbacks is a huge deal in his second season. So $1,813 card as of this recording. You do not want to buy into that. Trust me. What would I rather have you buy into? This is a huge, huge win. Michael Penix, 2024 Prism Silver 378 PSA 10. He's got a new coach, Kevin Stefanski. Arthur Blank still believes in this guy. This was as low as an $89 card during the holiday dip. You're welcome. Now, if you bought during the holiday dip, it's already up to $164. It's already back up to $164. So again, that holiday dip coming in huge that we talked about. All right. Pay attention at nooffseason.com to get your money's worth as a premium member. Now, $164 card, but here's the deal. It was a $405 card earlier this season. It was a $375 card heading into the season. So what's the play here? The play with all of these buys is to sell during August, late August. And again, the top buys are Bryce Young, 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10 at $132. CJ Stroud, 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10 at $249. Fade Caleb Williams. Buy Jaden Daniels, 2024 Prism Silver PSA 10 at under $700. Fade Drake May by Michael Penix, 2024 Prism Silver 378 PSA 10, $164. And kudos to any of you who did that holiday dip and got it for as low as $89. Phenomenal. All right. So for those reasons, we've added Michael Penix Jr., CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, and some others to our My Athletes feature at nooffseason.com, which of course gives you the top curated eBay auctions for all of our athletes. And RP Mick one in the live chat brings up Bo Nix. We also have Bo Nix in the already graded sports card rankings as well. It will be interesting to see what Bo Nix prices do, but there already are some Bo Nix cards out there that our rankings do like. So nooffseason.com helps you make real profits flipping sports cards with insider data, proven strategies, and exclusive access to undervalued cards before the rest of the market catches on. Again, there's only a few spots open right now, so go to nooffseason.com and secure one of them before we get to our 500 member cap. All right, up next, are base cards back? How strong is the sports card market? This is a conversation I had with Dustin, the sports card dad, on his show, 20 Minutes With. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Card Dad. We've got Paul Hickey back from nooffseason.com to talk shop a little bit. What's currently going on with the business? Is it completely falling apart? We'll find out from Paul there, and then also some buy sells, and we'll just kind of, we'll get into it a little bit. Paul, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Good to see you, Dustin, as always, and great to be back on Sports Card Dad 20 Minutes with.
Let's go. Yeah, absolutely. When was the last time you were on? It wasn't that long ago, right? Like 45 days. That's what I usually try to keep it at. I think it's been like, something like that.
Something like between 21 and 45 days ish.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we're doing okay. So how has your year started off, both, I guess, personally and business wise? How's your 2026 starting off now that we're a few weeks in?
2026 is phenomenal for me so far. Okay. We were just kind of talking offline about just kind of getting back into the fitness routine. Got to challenge yourself. I kind of plateaued a little bit running, and then joined a gym and have been able to make some gains. And I think it's actually, something that we all have to do in the hobby as well. We have to kind of reset our goals and, are we plateauing with what we're buying? And, are we hoarding a little too much? Do we need to sell? What do we want to achieve in 2026? So I look at life and the hobby kind of similarly, like want to challenge myself and do some new things. So far, so good, man. Everything's going great.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because it all comes down to self-discipline, no matter what we're talking about, whether it's fitness or cards or, like anything professionally or personally. And I think that's something that I try to keep that top of mind. But, like we all get busy with family, with work, with all the things that are going on. But it always boils down to like, what are you doing every single day? Like you set your goals at the beginning of the year, like, oh, here's my 2026 goals. But then if you don't set up a plan to kind of, if you're not disciplined through the year, then at the end of the year, it just won't happen, and then we kind of, then you're starting back over again. But so good. So yes. And before we get started too, part of that self-discipline part, this is an easy segue into the premium membership at nooffseason.com. If you're looking for community, camaraderie, Sports Card Dad code, I believe that's the code for money
Sports
off.
Card Dad. Yep.
Only a limited number of seats. And this is not one of those like, the fake urgency thing where it's like, we only have 2 spots left. I'll sound like Ken Golden from the 90s on Home Shopping Network. But yeah, check out nooffseason.com. Good group there with Paul and the gang, Lefty, and get some money off the nooffseason.com premium membership.
Yeah, absolutely. You save a ton, and then we put you in a position to make money flipping sports cards. And, to your point earlier, it's like you do really have to be laser focused and stick to the process. And if you veer from the process even a little bit, it can be pretty detrimental. And so that's really kind of the number one thing that we help everybody do. And we've got tools at nooffseason.com that are automated to help people find the best sports cards to buy for the right card for the right player at the right time. We also have tools to help people sell at the right time. And I think that's actually something too that gets overlooked a lot when you're trying to flip and make money, whether it's to fund your PC or fund other things in your life, is selling at the right time. That's tricky. Wow. So we definitely help with both ends.
Absolutely. On our next episode, I'm going to talk with Paul. Actually, Paul already knows my play, kind of the one I'm making. It's a big speculation move that I'm trying. And so on the next episode, in about 30 days, we'll talk about that in particular. And I will say that when you talk about buying the right card for the right player, I have gone against the grain a little bit. And that again speaks to maybe like some of that self-discipline part. But yes, so in about 30 days, we're going to talk through it. That's going to be fun. But tell me about your business. You started, we're not going to go through the whole origin story again, like we did in the beginning when we first started the series, but I'm just curious, you're now like 5 years into this business. And I can actually remember you starting this business, going back in time when you had a much smaller community and, you were just getting going. So how has it been for you? And I ask because there's people that watch that probably just curious about entrepreneurs in general, but especially in this space, which is very niche. There's only so many companies. There's only so many offerings. I think that, it's like you're starting a grading company, you're starting a marketplace, you're starting there's only like a few things, there's only so many things in our space, and you've done a good job of kind of building your own thing. So how are you doing? And then I guess, how has it progressed over time? How are you feeling about things?
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you asking. I'm always happy to talk about this. So yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur, and I think one of the things that's always intrigued me is just learning new skills. I love to learn new skills. And so I picked up the skill, long story short, of web design and development. And that's something we kind of talked about in an earlier episode as well. And that put me in a position where, I can pretty much build a digital presence that either drives web traffic or monetizes or sells premium content or, sells actual goods and services, things like that. And so when I got back into the hobby at the end of 2020, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to make a career change, actually. And so the hobby was very intriguing to me. And to your point, it was like, what are you going to be? Like, it's going to be really, really hard to be a grading company. It's going to be really, really hard to be a marketplace. It's going to be like, so what are you going to be? And we've seen several apps and websites come out, and I think the biggest thing that I've learned is you have to have a niche. And so I decided I wanted my niche to be something along the lines of buying cards and then being sort of right about a prediction. So to your point earlier, like you're about to do that here in 2026. We're going to talk about it on the next episode in about a month. And that's kind of what I wanted my business to be around. I wanted it to be a little bit like fantasy sports-esque, right? Where you make a prediction and then you can kind of go back and see if you were right or wrong. And I knew that I wanted to build a community around that. And so long story short, first thing I came up with was like sports card rankings. Like nobody out there was doing sports card rankings. And so I wanted to obviously help people buy top sports cards at a time when they were down and then be correct about the prediction of them going up in value. And there's dozens of ways to try to make that happen in the hobby, which I also found very intriguing. So unlike fantasy sports where you would have to be right on a particular night or correct on a particular week, in the hobby, you can do something where, hey, as long as you buy a card for less than what you end up selling it for at any time in the future, you're right about that prediction. So your prediction might not come true of who's going to win the NBA Finals MVP or who's going to win, the Super Bowl MVP. But as long as you hold that player's card into the future and it goes up in value more than what you paid for it by, give or take 15 to 20%, or more, technically that's a win. And so I found that very intriguing. I also noticed that all of the other apps out there, and we know and love several of these, and we know a lot of the people that run them, and we're friends with them as well, and they all do a great job. But all of the apps out there that showed card sales data, I found to be a little misleading, meaning if you're coming into the hobby and you're just seeing what's up in value, that is going to put those cards top of mind, and then inherently you're going to want to try to buy those cards. But if you reverse engineer that, that's actually the wrong strategy. You don't want to buy cards when they're up in value, because then you're taking an even bigger risk. And what is going to drive, what events in the world or in the hobby are going to drive those cards to go even further up in value? And so really, it took me, Dustin, like probably a year and a half to get really good at it and to build the tools around the data pattern recognition that needed to happen. And in the end, it became less about player prospecting and taking risks, and it became more about making calculated plays based on, say, GOAT type athletes, the best type athletes, and how you can go either from raw to grade or essentially buy their cards when they're down with a selling marker in mind in the future to drive them back up. So it ended up being a lot of data pattern recognition, building tools around that, and kind of reverse engineering what all the other apps were doing. So here we are in 2026. We talked about setting goals. I had set a goal back in 2021. I wanted it to be 5 years from 2021 that it was going to be my full-time job. I ended up beating that by a couple of years. So I think I'm going into year 3 now where this is my full-time job, but it's going very, very well.
Very cool. So remind me again, which players, because if I remember correctly, you took like 5 or 6 players that you really focused on in 2025. Which ones were those again? And then which ones do you have for 2026? Have you switched it up, for this year?
Switched it up a little bit. So yeah, last year it was Victor Wembanyama, Shohei Ohtani, Caitlin Clark, Arch Manning, and Michael Jordan.
So even
And
the players that are active that you just named off, because you did, I mean, most of those are active, frankly, but it seems like you picked kind of like the top of the food chain as far as where's the hype, where's the interest, if we're talking about like all those players.
yeah, and so one thing, 2025 was like a culmination of all the lessons that I learned in the previous 4 years. And one lesson I learned is that you need to be able to put yourself in a position where you can narrow your focus, because if you make too many plays, if you take too many risks, even though some might pay off, inevitably the numbers game is going to work against you because you can't win all your bets. And so first thing I needed to do was narrow it to a number where I could really, really focus on. And that was 5 for me. And so then when I started looking at it, I thought, okay, if I'm only going to buy 5 players, I better put myself in a position where I can make plays all year. One of them being Michael Jordan. I wanted to challenge myself because I hadn't really gone vintage. I'd gone pretty much ultra modern throughout my entire sports card rankings business at nooffseason.com. And so Michael Jordan just has an unlimited amount of cards that you can go out there and try to make plays on from several different decades. And so he was very intriguing to me. Caitlin Clark was obviously very hot. Shohei Ohtani, very hot. And at the time, Victor Wembanyama was very hot. So choosing, 3 more athletes that would be super, super liquid throughout the year, I think was another thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to make sure that I could transact, make sure even if I were to not get the grade that I wanted on a particular card, that I could get money back into the bankroll to make other plays during the year. So what ended up happening with that is really Wembanyama getting injured opened up a huge opportunity for me to end up buying him low and then selling him very, very high in October. Caitlin Clark kind of went the opposite direction. She was very expensive. And then when I thought I was going to sell her, she was injured. So the selling marker wasn't really there.
It's just like the worst case scenario happened with Clark, unfortunately. And then now the league, like, do we even know if the league's going to go anymore? Is it like, because I have some Caitlin Clark stuff too. And I'm okay, holding on to it. I'm not like fire selling it, but it's like, man, normally you could look forward to like the next season, but even with all the stupid stuff, that's the worst run league like in history, and so it's just like, God, I just hope that they get to a point where they're playing basketball again, otherwise it's like, maybe she'll just go and, go to it, or it's just start a new league. Just say, I'm going to do the Caitlin Clark league. Fine. I mean, I think that would probably be okay. As long as she's playing, then, we can bounce back a little bit, but yeah, worst case scenario there.
Yeah. And as long as that's a good point, as long as she's in the news, and that's actually a big right. deal with when you need to be looking to sell your sports cards, is when your athlete is in the news, that is going to be a very big selling marker. And that's what ends up happening with sort of buying during the off season, selling during the hype rise leading into a season. And so with Ohtani, he just continues to have his cards skyrocket. And part of it is the performance on the field. Part of it is just the lore around him.
Yeah, it keeps
and
growing.
His hobby hype, his hobby momentum. It's just like never slowing down. So having him in the portfolio is always, it's always a good idea.
I mean, he's had like 2 of the greatest seasons ever, like back to back, like it's incredible.
Yes. So then looking at 2026, I've basically decided to take what I learned in 2025 and do more of what worked in 2026. And so in terms of the plays that I'm making, I've added LeBron James, I've added Kobe Bryant. There's some specific plays with those 2 guys. Sometimes it's cracking and submitting to a different grading company. Sometimes it's just buying in an auction and knowing that card's going to go up on value based on the data patterns that I'm seeing. So I'm just continuing to narrow my focus. I'm really just 2, maybe 3 athletes deep into baseball, basketball, and football. So for basketball, it's LeBron and Kobe right now. For baseball, it's Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, and I can talk about what specific cards. And then for football, this is actually really interesting. football has like the most reliable pattern in terms of looking at the data.
I want to throw something at you regarding football. Go ahead.
Yeah. So football has the most reliable pattern in terms of looking at, like, if you look at quarterbacks from 2020 through the present, you can compare, say, buying them in December, March, June, those 3 months in particular, but there's other times during the year when you can find them. And you can typically find cards in PSA 10 of, say, their optic hollow, their rookie optic hollow, or their Prism Silver rookie, and all in PSA 10. And you can find where there's like $100 to $200 differential in their prices in those months that I mentioned. And then just simply August, when people are getting really, really hype about the NFL season again. And you can just literally, it's not every quarterback, but if you do enough digging, you can find, okay, this quarterback over that quarterback, I can go ahead and buy in an eBay auction. And I'll give you an example. I never would have said this guy's name, but the data is there. And Bryce Young, his 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10, I got it for $132 this week. And that's a card that's like a $220 to $230 card in August. Yeah. And, I'm not saying, and this is what's different about, say, sports betting or fantasy sports versus what we do with sports cards. I'm not sitting here telling you that I think Bryce Young is a good football player by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just playing the numbers game, and I'm saying he's got his starting job in Carolina. They made the playoffs this year. He's less of a risk. Last year, this card, when he didn't have all that to his name, there was a little bit of, trepidation around him still. Now he's more proven. Even when he wasn't as proven, that card went for $220, $230 in August, just based off the anticipation of the NFL season. What's to say I didn't just buy myself a $300 card for $132 this week? So that kind of thing. I mean, I'll turn it back over to you, but that kind of thing is what I'm doing with football cards. Jaden Daniels is another really good one right now that you can do that with. Michael Penix is another good one you can do that with right now.
Yeah, some of these guys that are left for dead that'll probably have some hype coming around. Yeah. So I did some data dive research, looking at, and it kind of shocked me, to be honest. And I was looking at Prisms. I always do Prism Silvers, comparing Prism Silvers, usually PSA 10, because it's just an easy way to look at it. But what I did was I looked at base Prism PSA 10 versus Silver Prism PSA 10, and I compared from, like, I did a 6 month, basically like a 6 month look back, which would be probably like the worst time. It was like literally like end of July. So it's like to where we are now. So it was like the worst time, like supposedly, to buy football cards, like for quarterbacks. I was looking specifically at quarterbacks. It's tough when you look at like 2018 Silver Prisms. They're like, the PSA 10 pop count is like, like Baker Mayfield is 13. If you look back, because they short printed Silver Prisms, but all the other quarterbacks, so you can do this with. And I looked at Baker's base Prism. And keep in mind that he started off 6-2, and then they kind of floundered away their season there, and they finished like 7-8 or whatever it was. But his base Prism, if you bought it in July, like end of July, it was still up like 30%, like 30 or 40%. So you got like a huge run up during kind of the middle of the season when they were 6-2. But even when they faltered and it came back down, the cards still actually did pretty well. So actually, I'm going to do that as kind of just a fun project. And I'm not necessarily going to wait until July, but I'm going to pick quarterbacks. Like after the draft, I'm going to let the draft kind of settle and see like what teams did on the offensive side of the ball and who I think is just going to be good in general. And I'm going to take a look at some of the, like Sam Darnold base Prisms. If you do it like a 6 month look back, it's like crazy, like it's way higher than you would think. And they're base Prisms. And I thought that was kind of interesting, because you think like, that's trash. That's trash. That's base Prisms. But the truth is that, the pop count's a lot higher on the PSA 10 base than it is on the silver. And so there's more opportunities to transact there. Also, it's a lower price point, so there's more people that can get involved, because some people are not going to I'm not spending $500 on a Silver Prism PSA 10 or whatever, but they will spend $100. Drake May is a great example of this. I did the look back on Drake May. There was PSA 10 sales for base Prism for $50 in July, and now they're $300, so it's like a wild. Now, the silver is like $1,700 and it was, I don't know, like $400 or $500. So like that's been a nice spread too. That's kind of like the best case scenario of if you had guessed on Drake May, but still, like if you look at the numbers, it's still like, yeah, it's a larger number for the Silver Prism, but think about it, you're also sweating out grading those, if you were grading it, like with the base, you could just go preseason or like, April through July, let's say, and buy base PSA 10s, and you probably do well, assuming you get it right on some of these quarterbacks. And even in like Baker Mayfield's case, you didn't even have to really get it right. You get it right like halfway through the season, and you could sell halfway through the season, which again, like I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but like I don't like to take quarterbacks through the season or any football players unless it's like a PC guy. Usually you're trying to offload in August. So that just opened my eyes. I was like, damn, you could actually just go, instead of going like flashy and expensive, you could just go base and probably do just fine. But anyway, it was just data that I was looking at that surprised me a little bit.
I think there's a lot of great stuff packed in what you just said. I mean, I think first of all, you're absolutely right in terms of just the ability to look at the base card from a sales volume standpoint. The fact that it is super liquid, it's more accessible than the Silver Prism. And that's why I think we all look at, I mean, people out there might be wondering, like, why do you guys always talk about the Silver Prism PSA 10 or the Optic Hollow PSA 10? I think it's because it's always been a good representation of what's happening with all the other cards for that player. And I think the fact that you just mentioned the base card is spot on, because the base PSA 10s have done the same thing from a price standpoint, maybe even better. They're more accessible. I mean, there's less than 1,000 Drake May Prism Silver PSA 10s that even exist, but in terms of the base, they're a lot more accessible. And then also, if you look, and we talked about Shohei Ohtani earlier, but if you look at Shohei Ohtani's base 2018 pitching from Topps Chrome, that's a pop 15,000 plus. Like, it's easy to find that. And it is now back to being like a $500 card. And so the reason I bring up that card,
and they're easy to sell. They're liquid. They're liquid, so they're easy to sell. As long as the price point meets what you want it to be, then you don't have to worry about moving it. You can sell it. Yeah,
it makes the buyers more confident to see that I could easily sell this card today for X amount of money. I don't have to. And when you look at a Prism Silver, for example, depending on the player, it might be like a month or 2 months since that card has sold last. So then there's less buyer confidence in that. And so, the liquidity.
And that flies in the face of like high pop is trash. I mean, look at like 89 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. PSA 10s. There's, I think, a few thousand of those, and they're like $5,000 or something, I guess in a strong, let me caveat with, in a very strong sports card market where you have a lot of participants and a lot of people that want to take part, this can work. That's where it can work.
And that's exactly where I was going. I think the data that you just hit on is on top of data that I've looked at that is indicating that we are in a very, very strong sports card market right now, right? Because like if we weren't, even though it's Shohei Ohtani, if we weren't, that card that I mentioned a minute ago that's pop almost 16,000 would not be a $500 card, because it wasn't a $500 card in 2022. But I think since 2022, now that we're into 2026, I've seen data that I looked at on the Sports Card Strategy Show a couple of weeks ago, where you've got Ken Griffey Jr. 1989 Upper Deck PSA 10 that you mentioned as well, and the Shohei Ohtani card. They're back up to the February 2021 highs.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. So I think we're back, man. I think base cards are back, and I think the hobby is back pretty much to where it was in 2021.
I've noticed the same. So 89 Upper Deck, Griffey always gets brought up, but I've noticed that for just like iconic rookie cards in general, because I've got a variety of that sort of thing. And it seems like all of that is bumped up too. I think it's just, even though they're not short printed, they're not, numbered, they're not one of ones, but people just love those cards. So I think in a really strong market, if it's a popular card, like I have an 86 Fleer Jordan PSA 6. And I've noticed even that card, that's not a rare, that's like not a rare card at all, but it's just a popular card, and it will always be a popular card. So, it's up, from where it was, but, and I think that's probably going to trend, it's going to trend that way, assuming that, hopefully it stays like that. We'll see.
Yeah. So, I mean, the question obviously is going to be, okay, how much longer before like the next bubble pops type of a thing. But I think, that's a valid question, but I think, what I have, I started buying in February 2021. So I went through the hardships of like, okay, this stuff has gone down quite a bit. So in terms of the guideline strategies and plays that I look at on the Sports Card Strategy Show and at nooffseason.com, they're very, very, very risk averse. They're very like they are bubble popping proof in terms of like what could potentially happen. So, I mean, I think best case scenario for 2026, kind of bringing it full circle, is like prices continue to rise, right? As more and more people come into the hobby, there's more demand compared to the supply. That would be great for people like you and I. I think worst case scenario, it's like I stay true to my guideline strategies and plays that I've kind of boxed myself into over the years, and I'm still going to make about 30%. So we'll see how it ends in 2026. But yeah, for now, I mean, I'm full speed ahead, man. Buying a lot, probably not selling many cards until the NBA playoffs or August for the start. The hype build up to the NFL season.
Good stuff, man. I want to talk about grading strategy on the next episode, so let's save that. I'll go through my play in full, what I'm doing. The other little play that I've been going that I literally just got into a couple weeks ago, probably way too late, is One Piece. And we don't have to talk a lot about it because it's not sports cards, it's TCG, but that's another kind of fun little side project that the little rabbit hole I've been going down. We can talk a little bit about that on the next one, but yeah, man. Well, hey, thanks very much for coming back on. Remember, don't forget to get money off Sports Card Dad code at the nooffseason.com, the premium membership. If you want to hang out with Paul and the gang and just throw ideas back and forth, a lot of camaraderie over there, great services. So make sure to check it out.
Thanks for having me on, Dustin. Can't wait for our next episodes.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
Great collaboration with Dustin Cooley, the Sports Card Dad. Thanks for being on the Sports Card Strategy Show. Up next, we've got my guy, George Crespo, the founder of Slab Dynasty. Let's find out, is slabdynasty.com the new place, one of the new places to help you make money flipping sports cards? Let's get into it. George Crespo of slabdynasty.com. He's the founder. Many of you will remember George made an appearance on the Sports Card Strategy Show, co-hosting with Lefty and I back in September. He's a loyal premium member of nooffseason.com. George, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back.
Great to have you back on the Sports Card Strategy Show. When you were on with Lefty and I last, you got a lot of positive feedback from the audience, from the nooffseason.com family, and we're excited that we're going to be talking to you regularly about how we can help people make money flipping sports cards, but also slabdynasty.com. So before we get into your new venture that you've launched, slabdynasty.com, let's just kind of, give the nooffseason.com fam here a little update on how things have been going for you in the hobby with your all of your hobby businesses and your sports card flipping ventures.
Of course. Well, hey, once again, I'm excited to be back. I'm probably one of the biggest fans No Off Season has. Like I said on the first one, it helped refocus and save my collecting and hobby experience. I was about out the door until I started getting into this. So So when it comes to all the different hobby businesses, we really kind of started focusing and feeding them all into Slab Dynasty. We still have the 9 people overseas that are going through eBay, coming through, looking for ungraded cards and all of that. But now we kind of have them all morphed into one. Our next big thing here, besides Slab Dynasty, is actually going to be going out to the National Fanatics Fest and being part of those, having some really cool fun booths set up. So we're really excited about that. But yeah, no, the main focus right now has been Slab Dynasty, trying to figure out how we can bring the best experience, but also the most savings to people in the hobby.
Sounds good, man. So let's get into that because slabdynasty.com has recently launched. I know that there's some features that are up and running very well, and then there's some other features that will be launching, which is obviously very, very common for those of you who don't know. All of the hobby marketplaces out there, even the live selling platforms and things like that are constantly putting things in beta, launching things without letting people know that they've launched, and then perfecting them as they go. So George, you and your team have done a great job getting slabdynasty.com up and running. We want people at nooffseason.com and Sports Card Strategy Show audience members to be aware of the value proposition here. And so let's start with you telling us about Slab Dynasty and what the value proposition is for our audience so that they can understand, is it repacking? Is there more to it than buying a repack product? I want to give you the opportunity to kind of talk through this. I'm going to share my screen a little bit and ask you some follow-up questions. And then, I know you've got other features that I want you to have the opportunity to talk about that are going to launch. So let's start there. Just overall, tell the Sports Card Strategy Show audience, what is slabdynasty.com?
Of course. So this is my baby. This is the reason that I have been focusing on, that I've been wanting to make sure. This has been my why. When Paul asked, hey, what is your why? My why is saving people money here at the end of the day. But one of the things that I think even Paul will acknowledge here, and that we've all talked about, is what is one of the funnest parts about the hobby. It is opening up packs. There is an itch that needs to be scratched for a lot of us there, but it isn't fair. So we did start with our repacks. Those are great. I'm excited about those. We are making sure to have them super transparent. I'm going to talk about those here in just a couple of seconds. But the things that I'm really excited about are the features that we're actually launching like this upcoming week and next month. And then actually what we're going to be launching in 9 months from now. Those are really the really big ones that I'm super excited about, that are designed to actually give back to the community. Such as like our 2% marketplace fee. That's our marketplace, is what we're going to be dropping here this week. We actually got a really, really cool exclusive thing that we're offering to the premium users of No Off Season when it comes to our marketplace. I'm not sure if Paul wants me to mention it now, but if I can, I will.
Yeah,
it's going to be
go for it, man.
All right. So we're actually going to be giving a 0% marketplace fee to all 500 active premium users on No Off Season. So we're trying to make sure not only to drive traffic to our site, but also save you guys money. So the only thing you guys are going to have to worry about is, of course, your taxes at the end of the year for anything you sell off of Slab Dynasty. So that's our big one when it comes to our premium users right now. So that's our marketplace. To kind of talk about what we have live right now, it is our repacks. As everyone knows, they've heard of Courtyard, they've heard of Arena Club, GameStop's now in the game. Fanatics has their version of repacks as well on, I think, Fanatics Live called, and then even Collectibles has their own version of it too. The things that we wanted to make sure to do though was 90% is cool when it comes to it. We actually have a 92% buyback offer. We do use Card Ladder for all of our evaluations, as well as when Card Ladder does fail us, we do have a special IP that we created with our code that pulls in partners like market movers, and then also other auction sites and third parties. We actually are in an audit process, if anyone's familiar with the company PwC, to audit our algorithm when it comes to not only sourcing, but also our odd configurations too. So we're really trying to be focused here on transparency when it comes to our repacks. Our repacks are set up very cool. I'm not sure if we can pull up a screen here of them later on.
Yeah, we could do that right now, actually, if you want, because I think it's cool how you guys, and first of all, thank you so much for that added benefit to the premium members of nooffseason.com, the 0% marketplace fee when that gets up and launched. So we'll talk more about that when that happens. But right when you go to slabdynasty.com, George, I noticed just pulled feature, featured cards. And then if you were to go into packs, and I'll let you take back over here, but the first thing I noticed is, okay, you've got multi-sport, then you've got it categorized by sport, basketball, football, baseball, Pokemon, etc. If I want to buy into, say, a $25 power up, I like the user experience here right off the bat is like, okay, you've got 92% buyback offer, but then potential pulls right here.
Yeah.
So here's what you're chasing. So I'll let you kind of narrate us through here, and I'll continue to share my screen. But this is already just great user experience to say, okay, here's what you're chasing, and then you can toggle over to base cards. Okay, so you can see if I'm paying $25, I might get a base card. These are the ones that I might get, but hey, I might get CD Lamb Uptown that's valued at $180 for a $25 power up here. So.
Just like any other website, as well as just like when you're buying a Topps or getting into anything else, there's going to be a little bit of risk and a little bit of upside. But one thing that we are making sure that we're doing is that we're trying to give a transparency with it. So if you click the buy now logo bar right there, we actually have you choose your chase feature. Now, this is really big. This is setting us apart 100% from Marina Club and Courtyard. And this is one thing that I thought was a necessity when it came to opening up packs for our next generation of, hey, how can we be more mindful of what we're doing when we're buying a pack? And that's by actually letting us know what we're getting ourselves into before we do it. So we're giving 3 different options of your chases. So you can see like, okay, if I'm spending $25, I can go for the base option, and be adventure and be a little bit safer. That's going to be your greatest odds of getting that card. But hey, you could possibly get a $30+ card out of that. So yeah, you're not going to hit a home run, but you're going to get a little bit a little bit extra. But you could still win that $140 card. You're going to more than 4x your money at the end of the day, or you can play it really risky. Go after that where you're more than 10xing your return in there. It really just kind of all depends on the collector and what are they really trying to scratch here? Are they trying to scratch that itch of just winning that biggest card they possibly can find? Or is it more like, hey, I'm going into this just to see if I can win a couple more extra dollars. So then that way I can have some fun and going into buying a different PC or a different single later on. We all have our different reasons of getting into breaks. And this was one of the things that we thought was a good necessity point to outline that for the different types of collectors, whether you're an investor, you're a risk taker, or you're just a pure hobbyist that wants to have fun enjoying ripping a pack.
Yeah, this is phenomenal because for those hobbyists that just want to have fun ripping a pack, I think they should care about this stuff, even though they only want to just have fun ripping a pack. It's good to be educated along the way, right? And this is also for the other end of the spectrum, which is our audience, which is like we talk about risk mitigation. We talk about, the safer play. You've even got great verbiage in here like higher floor, lower ceiling for the adventurer, but then the high risk, low floor, massive ceiling, and then the balance risk reward profile for the collector. It's like it really is great verbiage and very, very transparent, not only showing the cards, but then saying, okay, hey, we're gonna let you select your risk strategy. You're gonna spend $25 on this pack. But look, there's a good chance that you might only get, say, a card that is valued at, between $14 and $28 or something like that. Now,
Exactly.
If you get $150 or a $300 card, hey, that could be, someone will win that. I think that's the other thing that, the repack concept of a product is something that I gravitate towards over, say, ripping wax or definitely buying into breaks because, we all know the horror stories of like, look, you're going to buy into, say, a 2024 optic football, obviously trying to chase, say, a Caleb Williams auto or, well, it wouldn't be a Caleb Williams auto, but because he's a Fanatics exclusive, but you're trying to get an auto out of that is going to be, more than what you paid for the box. And, you might get a Jamarcus Russell auto, which nobody really cares about. So
that's wild. They're bringing those out.
That's crazy.
I saw that on the newest release.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, you've got wax hitting the market all the time that people are super excited about. And then when that happens, you've got people buying into breaks. And we've talked about this open and honest on the Sports Card Strategy Show. We want to stop people from doing that. And so Slab Dynasty is presenting a really, really cool alternative to doing that while still allowing you to manage that risk profile, still have some upside, still get the adrenaline rush, the fun of opening a pack, but also, and have the ceiling, but also have a much safer floor. I mean, you're not going to get, you're not going to get raked over the coals for something like this, but, George, like, okay, what else, man? Like I see here, you can go into, say, something like a prime pack, maybe talk us
We
through
have our different, we have up to
levels.
$100 right now. We
Okay.
actually will have our 150, 200, and 250 packs dropping this morning as well. So that's exciting. That's our next thing. We had Pokemon launch last week, and it's, everyone knows about Pokemon right now. Can't keep it on the shelves. We keep selling out of that on a daily basis. So we're really excited about Pokemon. Keep getting those on the on the shelves. But like you were saying there too, like this, we were trying to make sure to bring transparency in here to avoid those breaks. I was one of those people that bought a 2022 flawless, going for a Brock Purdy NFL patch, and only ended up getting a Desmond Ridder NFL patch, which is a great $200 card. But when you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a box, it does not, correlate, does not make collecting fun. So the other thing that we also made sure to do here is also show odds. So we have your choose your chase. And if you exit out of that, you can scroll up there just a little bit. And then we have your odds, your pack odds distribution, to make sure to highlight that as well. So the one thing that we're trying to do here, guys, is educate what you're getting yourself into here at all times. Because that is one thing that the No Off Season family has taught me, is that the more you're educated, the better decisions you can make and the better experience you have in the hobby. So at times, if you check one of these things, you see, hey, I don't like what the odds are currently at, don't buy the pack, move on to something else, and keep your hobby experience fun. That is the whole point here of getting into this. So that's one of the last features that I want to really kind of highlight when it comes to our packs for right now, is like our odds, our choose your chase. And then of course, I'm going to say we got some pretty cool graphics going on there too.
Hey, George, real quick,
I
just want to say this is phenomenal. This pack odds distribution might be my new favorite thing, just because this is honestly no different than when I talk about, say, cracking a PSA 9 and trying to get a BGS 9.5, or, cracking a BGS 9.5, trying to get a PSA 10, etc. Only you guys are doing a better job with the math and the visualization here at slabdynasty.com with the UI, the user interface design of saying like, hey, look, you're going to spend $100 on this football prime pack, right? But you've got, and you can just kind of choose your own risk tolerance. Like you've got a 63% chance of only losing $40.
Yeah.
And I think that is huge. And then you can even take it a step further and you can go, okay, add 27% to that. Now all of a sudden I'm up around what? 90 or 89% or 91% rather. I'm at a 91% chance of only losing $47 on this. And
worst case scenario. And that's how I like to look at things. I think most people will look at things and they'll go, oh, well, there's only a 2% chance of getting that hit, getting that chase. Well, not really. And that's better when you look at Courtyard and Arena Club. Their chase odds are at 0.05, 0.808. So we've made sure to also give out our odds. We're giving out winners 36 times more often. Now, granted, on Arena Club, you can go in and maybe win a $10,000 card. We're not giving out $10,000 cards right now, because also when you go on Arena Club, they will also give you out of that pack a $25 card. They're giving you less than 75% of your value back. So those are some of the things that we wanted to make sure to do, was limit your exposure. So worst case scenario, any pack you buy into, worst case scenario, you're going to get half your money back out of it. But most of our packs are designed that you're going to have close to about a 35% to a 40% chance of breaking even or having a winner as well.
I think that's the critical factor right there. That doesn't get talked about enough, which is the Arena Club, for example, to your example is basically based on what you're saying. It's basically the same as ripping that National Treasures. It's
really
like
is.
you can spend a lot of money on a pack, and this is a repack product that is likely giving you back nothing. Putting you in a position where you're likely to get nothing, which is horrible. Whereas Slab Dynasty, on the other hand, is being transparent about not only what cards are in the repack, so you can see for yourself, I might only get a $14 card if I buy this $25 pack. Okay. But if you go up a few levels and you want to buy that $100 pack, for example, it's showing you the worst case scenario, which I think that's what we all need to look at. We all need to understand the worst case scenario. And again, I'll say it again, Panini's not doing that.
No.
Topps is not doing that. They're not going to tell you the worst case scenario. They're not going to tell you might get, an Art Monk autograph or whatever out of a particular pack. I just pulled.
Hey, I would be excited for an Art Monk autograph.
It's not going to sell for that much money is my point. No. And chances are you probably paid a lot more money for that box. And they're not going to tell you that.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
Slab Dynasty. Okay.
Nail on the head there.
So a lot of great data, a lot of work has gone into this in terms of not only the user interface design, but just also the education, and how to basically visualize that in a really friendly way here and allow people to shop and have fun at the same time. So, all right, George, I know there's a lot of great features that exist here. Anything else you want to talk about that people can do right now, or do you want to get into? I know we're all excited to hear kind of a little bit more about the marketplace, and then the tease that you gave earlier about what's coming.
Yeah. Let's get into the marketplace and the next steps things here that are coming out, because those are really the exciting ones here, because those are the education pieces, as I like to say. So we do have our marketplace that's coming out here this upcoming week. Hopefully, God willing, we're actually going to have it maybe launched this week. But keep an eye out for it to come out on Monday with that 2% marketplace fee. If you are a no off-season member, keep a lookout probably on your email is probably how we'll send it out to you via Paul, where you're going to get a special code, a special assignment to be able to sign up here so you can take advantage of that 0% fee. When it came to our marketplace, one of the things I wanted to do is educate people as well as make it a seamless transaction when you're adding cards onto the process. So right now we are staying with just authentic graded cards. One of the reasons for that is because when you look up where are the most scams in the hobby, it is with ungraded cards. So we are limiting it to that. But with that being said, that comes out with a benefit for you guys when it comes to listing, because all you have to do is type in your cert for any SGC, Beckett, CGC, or PSA slab, and we're going to fill out all the details for you. So unlike eBay, where you're going to have to plug and chug, try to find a listing that's similar to yours so you can copy theirs, find something that had recently sold so you can steal that Paul magic that he always says, find a recent listing that sold for a high amount, copy what they did. For us, all listings are going to be self-automated. You put in that PSA number, the image of the card will pop up. We do give you the ability to add up to 5 other images if you'd like to as well. So if it's like an error card, or if there's a reason why you want to call it a one of one, you can do that. You can hyper in there, take that picture of that error, take that picture of whatever it may be to get that card really kind of shine and stand out there. Just like eBay too, we're going to give you a place to put in a description, a little title as well. But the thing that we also separate from is we're actually going to show you the current comps for that card. We provide a link for you to click on. It takes you over to Card Ladder, and it shows you the 5 most recent sales for that card. So that way it's educating you on where you should kind of maybe be realistically when you're listing your card. But of course, you get the option of putting whatever price you want on there. The next thing with our marketplace that we're really excited about is that 100% of all purchases are going to be authenticated through us. We have hired 3x PSA employees, as well as we've sent over, Paul knows this, I've bragged about my internal people a couple of times. been able to get a couple of my guys over at PSA. They've done a 3-day training course, learn how to authenticate cards as well as how to technically grade them as well, to make sure that we're only taking in 100% authentic stuff. And then we're going to give a guarantee on it too. For some reason, if something does slip through the cracks, no one's perfect. We're going to make sure that all purchases are 100% reimbursed through us if there was a fake that did go through there. If anyone that is caught selling a fake, their accounts immediately don't immediately get banned. They're allowed to give their purpose of like saying, hey, maybe I bought a fake card. That could happen to people at card shows. I know I've been at a few card shows, and there's the crazy new techniques of what people are doing to pass fakes out there, whether it's recracking and putting a fake card in there to just creating a whole fake slab altogether. So we do give a 2-strike policy for sending in fakes. On the second time you do it, your account will be suspended. The last thing that we actually stole from Paul here, one of his rants from when he forgot what website it was, but he bought a card, and I just remember
it was My Slabs.
My Slabs, that's what it
that.
was.
Yeah.
Okay, you even remember the story. You came on there and you're like, yeah, I was on My Slabs. I bought the car. I waited 2-3 weeks for the guy, didn't get a response, finally sent him a message, and he was like, oh, sorry, man, that's been sold for 3 or 4 months now through eBay. So all of our listings have you can select the duration from them from 7 to 30-day max, but after that 30-day max, it is a hard cutoff. It doesn't automatically renew like eBay or unlike Veriswap or My Slabs, how it just stays on there indefinitely. We are trying to take the crud off and making sure that we only have good quality content on there. So what you're putting a bid on is going to, I'll go on that. Well, whether you're putting a bid on something or if you're buying it now, that you're going to have it in hand and that you're getting that purchase. With that going into it, I'm going to mention something that's was a big thing in the hobby about a month and a half ago when another gentleman released his marketplace, and then everyone found out that he was shill bidding on it and all these other things. I'm not going to say names or anything like that, but we are not coming out with auctions right away. We understand that we are a new platform. Auctions are not going to be where you guys are going to want to sell off of us right now. You're going to want to place your cards that you're going to try to get that higher premium for. Those one-of-ones, those higher end cards and stuff like that. Those are going to be the cards that you're going to want to see on, or the cards that you're waiting on selling. Put those on our site. These are going to be getting the offers that you're going to want to see from our types of users right now. We do not have that user base to say that like you put on a quick $5 card, or you're trying to, test the market crazy with it. Like that's going to still be eBay here. We're going to be more so for your solid liquid guys that you're going to be wanting to sell, get a good return on, but also test the waters on a reasonable level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's great transparency there too. I mean, that's George coming in saying, look, like we're part of the nooffseason.com family. That's not necessarily in your best interest to auction off a card on a platform that doesn't necessarily have the user base yet to warrant driving up the price on an auction. That's not to say it's not possible. And then I think it also like puts you guys in a position where you can sort of avoid any kind of initial negative speculation up front, like that other gentleman that you mentioned. So just kind of keeping it to, hey, look, this is what, you guys are educating, you're giving information about this is what your card is worth based on the most recent last 5 comps via Card Ladder. And hey, it's up to you to list it for what you want to list it for. I know you and I are going to have a lot more great strategic discussions about the buying and selling strategies on the marketplace at slabdynasty.com and what can be done to kind of keep that intriguing for all the members that are using the marketplace. So George, I'm excited because I wanted to have you on the Sports Card Strategy Show to kick off the partnership between nooffseason.com and slabdynasty.com. And this, I think, has set the table very well because I think we're leaving a lot of meat on the bone for people to continue to listen to us talk about this topic throughout the year. So I'm excited. There's a lot more to come. And there's one more question I have for you though, because last time you were on the Sports Card Strategy Show, you and Lefty and I think we brought a lot of relevant information to the audience without talking too much about any one of ourselves and what we were doing. But you said a lot of interesting things in terms of what you had learned in the hobby, what you had learned from nooffseason.com, and how you were applying that acquiring cards. I have to ask you, and are the cards at Slab Dynasty basically all from your journey over the last several years? Like, I mean, where did the cards come from? I mean, are they, because I think that's kind of exciting when we think about, when all of us think about like where we could take our hobby ventures. You've taken yours to a really, really cool place. Are these all cards that you've acquired throughout your journey? Kind of fill us in on that.
So I can't say they all are right now, just because of the fact that we've now had a very successful 2 months now of being launched, thank God, where we've been getting a lot of good sales, and we're all of our socials right now are getting over a million monthly views every single month. So we're taking off. We're having some good success. However, I will say the first 15,000 cards were all acquired through the no off season strategy of making sure to go in there. Making sure that a lot of them were raw to grade editions. I think over 7,000 of them were cards that we graded, that we took raw and then sent over to PSA to get graded. And then the other ones were just, strategic buys, either through eBay, card shows and stuff like that. But yeah, 100% was all strategies. You will see, sometimes heavier listings of players in there because of how they fell on the no off season ladder. You'll see a good amount of Anthony Edwards in there. You will see a good amount of Victor Wembanyama's in there because, these are things that Paul Hickey loves and Paul Hickey's talked about. So yeah, you will see a lot of the no off-season imprint on there, which we're proud about because we know that these cards that we have on our site are the cards that have the best return value overall. So we did add a bunch of those Victor, the Prism Silvers on there. When you said it was buy now, I went crazy on buying now on them. I think I sent you a message, was like, hey, I'm at like 42 of these cards right now. Should I stop or should I keep going? And you're like, hey, keep going if you can. So I did. So yeah, these are very much no off season. The first 10,000 or 15,000 of them were all strategically through you. And my girlfriend was very, very happy to get those out of the house.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to go in and start looking at some of the data here on the prime packs, and love that I can see the pack odds distribution. This is going to be one of my new favorite platforms to be on for sure, and I'm excited to get some feedback from the nooffseason.com fam after they hear this episode, and much more to come. Everybody, George, do you have anything else more to add?
Stay tuned, guys. We got tons of giveaways with no off season for the premium members, non-premium, ranging from PSA memberships to year-long memberships with Paul Hickey. We want to make sure that we're really giving back to you guys. So we're really open ears. Anything you guys want, feel free to shoot us a DM and we're going to put it on the table for you guys.
And there's the promo code no off season right now as well.
There is. Yeah,
hey,
save 20%.
I have to say this real quick. Okay. So I love this because I don't think I would see like Arch Manning 2023 Prism draft picks, silver, like PSA 9, auto 9. Like, look at this. You're not going to go to, this is the official, it's not just me taking George's money and being like, go to slabdynasty.com. Like, this is the official no off season shit right here. People, look at this.
Yeah.
You're not going to see this at Courtyard. You're not going to see this at Arena Club. You're not going to have the opportunity to get an Arch Manning card that I literally just told everybody to buy last week's show, if you can get it. So, I mean, estimated value 665. That's accurate. Now, of course, again, your odds are probably going to be 2.08% of getting that card. But look, why not try to spend $100 on that card? If you don't have, people ask me on the premium podcast all the time, George, if I only have X amount of money, how should I spend it? And I've never once said you should buy into a break. I've never once said you should rip into packs or anything like that. But now there's potentially an opportunity. Look, if you're going to spend $100, you have an opportunity. Like, you're likely to at least get 60 back. You're 91% likely to at least get 60 back. Now, George and Slab Dynasty have to make some money somewhere. As much as they're winning, as much as they're losing, they have to win, right? So for them to give away an Arch Manning, which they are in a repack product for the 665, there has to be some crap like that. That's just what it is. So we hope that you don't get stuck with the crap, but look at your odds, look at your pack odds distribution here. But if you're spending $100 on a card, you should be getting 53 to 60 back, worst case scenario. So, anyway, I just want to bring it up to your point about there being a lot of Wemby's and a lot of Anthony Edwards in here. Love seeing
also Anthony Richards. I know you're high on him right now. Anthony Richards. I'm a big Anthony Richards fan, so I do buy a lot of his cards. So there is a good chunk of those in there too. So get him while he's low until he bounces up, hopefully picked up by the Rams next year.
Yeah, and then sell them in August, man. That's a lot of good strategies out there. So, all right, my man. I have so many more questions for you on this. I'm excited to talk throughout the year. I'll let you go for now. Thanks for coming back on the Sports Card Strategy Show, brother.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Good stuff there from our guy, George Crespo, slabdynasty.com, talking about Anthony Richardson. Not Anthony Richards, but Anthony Richardson there at the end. But great stuff. Slabdynasty.com. Check it out. Use that promo code NOOFFSEASON. All right. So there is one golfer that I want you all to know about. He does not have cards out yet. He's 18 years old. He almost shot 59 this week. He finished tied for 18th. And at one point, he was tied for second. His name is Blades Brown. I talked about him 2 years ago on the Sports Card Strategy Show when he was 16 years old, because he is actually from the town where I'm living right now. I'm in Franklin, Tennessee, right next to Brentwood, and he is from Brentwood. And he is on the PGA Tour. He has his tour card. He's a professional golfer on the PGA Tour. Again, his name is Blades Brown. He is on fire. He is, I believe, going to be the next big name on the PGA Tour. He's going to dominate for years to come. He does not have any sports cards out right now. That is something that needs to change. Somebody needs to change that. Maybe Blades will sign with a card company on his own. I know Upper Deck has signed golfers in the past and created golf cards. I don't know when they're going to do that again. And I know Sports Illustrated for Kids sometimes comes out with cards for athletes like Blades Brown. So keep an eye out for Blades Brown cards in the future. They will be hot when they do come out. We are going to talk about the centering school, how to center select 2024 football, as well as our guy, Ty Wilson from Breaker Culture, on the newest eBay scam. We'll talk about those in next week's episode when we're back. But thanks again for watching and listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show. I'm Paul Hickey. Don't forget to check out nooffseason.com. We're always here to help you make money flipping sports cards. Thanks again to our guests on today's episode, George Crespo of slabdynasty.com and Dustin, the Sports Card Dad. Thanks so much for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. If you enjoyed the content on today's show, there's plenty more waiting for you at nooffseason.com. Just go to nooffseason.com right now. You get our formula-based sports card rankings, sports card school, inventory tracker, the ability to grade with us, and the premium podcast where we answer an unlimited amount of your questions. Check it out right now at nooffseason.com. For everyone at nooffseason.com, I'm Paul Hickey. Thanks again for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. We'll see you again soon. Have a great day.